Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. And through this channel, I'll be providing some stock analysis and also an update on our $1 Million Challenge, so please stay tuned. In the previous video, we looked at 3 stocks to hold in difficult market conditions that we're experiencing right now. We also did a quick reaction video on the breaking news with regard to the special preference share MMTLP and the announcement that there is not going to be a payment on the 28th or a decision on the 28th of December. So please refer back to the previous video before we start today's video. Quick reminder of the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this, this is a journey of an investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So this requires an objective of trying to achieve 201 trades, each with a return of approximately 3.5%. And it's not 201 consecutive trades. We do take into account losses. So for the challenge, we also have an exclusive in-depth strategy video, which explains the objectives and the aims of the challenge in more detail with more in-depth explanation. So once you join the challenge, you'll also get access to the Discord community, which is now well in excess of 300, and people will be sharing due diligence, trading tips, technical analysis, DD, buy alerts, etc. You also get access to the Discord area where you can chat and ask questions. You can also get access to the stock spreadsheet and also see our leaderboard in there as well. So for the challenge, we have a spreadsheet with low and medium risk stocks. Many of these are updated weekly, and they are also color coordinated signals indicating whether a stock is a potential buy. We also have a leaderboard to celebrate success. This leaderboard is getting quite big every week with lots of examples of success, and we use this as motivation. So join us on this journey. Details are in the description below. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 5 questions for George. These 5 questions I believe investors will want answers for, so I'm going to look at them. These questions are going to be extremely difficult, but before I start the video, one thing I'd like to say is this is probably going to be my most difficult video to date. With regard to the stock, Metamaterials, this is a stock that I'm still extremely bullish on. I still believe in the company. I think the fundamentals have not changed. I think the long-term potential is huge, especially with the number of patents they've got. The one thing that I think we know is lacking is revenue and contracts, and I do believe that will come. The technology and the potential with regards to AR and also with nanotechnology, the operation in terms of diversified areas also includes medical, EV, technology, defense and so on. So no problems with regard to the stock, but what I'd like to do in today's video is address a number of questions for George. And the reason why I'd like to go into these questions is because with regard to yesterday's news, there has been some important worries, some important concerns, and I think what I'd like to do is put some of these questions to George through this video. I hope he responds. It doesn't necessarily have to respond to me. If he responds to the general investors in the company who are actually the ultimate owners of the company, then that's all we need. So let's start with question 1 on the screen. You'll be able to see the question here is, do you agree the torch the shorts tweet was a huge mistake? So let's have a look at the tweet in question. So this is a tweet that George announced on June the 15th, 2021. So let's have a reminder of the tweet. And what he said here is, to commemorate the Torch and Meta merger, we are thinking of launching a one-time limited edition shorts in flames this summer. If we get 500 likes on this post, we may actually do it. Smiley face. Get you shorty hashtag, and also hashtag barbecue season and hashtag Sunday roast. Picture of shorts there with Meta burning the shorts. And George asked for 500 likes. But we actually got 2,000, well in excess of 2,000 likes. So in my opinion, and in investors' opinion, this particular tweet created an unbelievable amount of FOMO for investors. Many investors did invest in this stock in huge amounts, many with their life savings, in the belief that there was something going to happen imminently. So that was a suggestion. So in terms of George, he is a highly educated from Harvard, CEO of a huge company. So if he is basically saying, I did this because I didn't understand how shorts operate, then I think that is extremely naive of him. If he did this in the full belief that there was something going to happen, that's also naivety. What I would like from George is an admission that this was an error. This was not a good tweet. This certainly did not help the situation. And for him to take on the shorts through this was very bad for the company, very bad for his image, and certainly not good for investors. Let's have a quick reaction from one of the investors to this tweet. I'd like to give a shout out now to JMAT 2010, who's posted here, "All great shorts, please forgive me for thinking we could even light fire to your shorts. Have mercy on me." So I think the suggestion here from JMAT 2010 is, instead of the shorts getting torched, what's actually ended up happening is the investors have got torched. So if we look at the price of Metamaterials, I think we don't need to really explain where it's come from and where it's gone to right now. Everybody knows many investors are bag holding in significant amounts. So that is the key problem that needs to be addressed. Let's now move on to question number 2, and I think question number 2 is a very important question, and it's also a question that many investors have been asking. So let's have a look at the question. We can see here, the question is there really going to be a cash dividend? So that's a question. This is what many investors were led to believe, and I do know that the company have covered themselves in from a legal point of view by adding in a very small print that this may not be the case. However, I certainly think that's not a good way to go forward. I think going forward, I think a better way to communicate is to be much clearer in terms of all of the possibilities. Many investors did invest for the first time. So although the company covered themselves in the small print, the vast majority of people expected a cash dividend. So let's now have a look at the tweet from George with regard to what happened. So we can see here on the screen the tweet that was just released by George a few days ago. So we can see here George has tweeted just a few days ago, "The special Series A preferred stock dividend can still be a spin-off or a sale. We have not made any announcements yet on what will be the plan. As discussed, this is work in progress and we appreciate your patience. We are committed to getting these assets off our books." So George has gone on to say, the team is diligently working towards resolving the dividend, which involves multiple parties. We appreciate everybody's patience. So what George is doing, I think in the opinion of many investors here, is covering himself from a legal point of view by basically here suggesting there is still going to be a possibility of a cash dividend. Earlier there was talk of this being between $1 and $20 and possibly in excess of $1 to $20. So he's still saying that in this tweet. What we saw yesterday, close of play after the market, is an announcement that this dividend decision is not going to be done on the 28th of December. So again, the small print did cover the company legally. So again, communication wasn't clear, but it was covered by the company. So again, this has created a lot of investment anger. In my personal opinion, I don't believe we're going to get a cash dividend. I believe from the announcement yesterday, this will be converted into a new company, which we're going to have a look at shortly, OilCo. So I think that's what the reality of the situation is. If George can come in and honestly say he has potential buyers, they are talking to buyers, there is a possibility of that, then I'm more than happy to apologize. And I think in my opinion and in the opinion of many of the investors, I think one of the reasons why we think there is going to be no cash dividend is because of OilCo. The next question, again, is a very difficult question, but I think it's a question that investors are asking, and I would like George to respond to this question. And this question follows on from the previous question, and is, why did you create OilCo? So let's have a look at the company in question. So we can see here this company was incorporated on the 31st of August 2021, approximately 3 months ago. So we were led to believe that the company was going to be searching for buyers for the assets, including land and oil, and gas. However, 3 months ago, this OilCo was established. Why was that? Is it a case of no buyers were found? Or is it a case that buyers were found, but an attractive enough price was not considered to be available? So either you share this information at the right time, or you share the information now. As investors, we are the owners of the business. So if it is legally possible, then we would like to know. So in terms of this company, we can see on the screen here, the jurisdiction is Nevada. We can also see George is the president. George is also the CEO of Metamaterials. So this is a spin-off company. Let's have a look at the details of what is a spin-off. So on the screen here, you'll be able to see that a spin-off is the creation of an independent company through the sale or distribution of new shares of an existing business or division of a parent company. The spin-off companies are expected to be worth more as independent entities than as part of a larger business. So as MMTLP shareholders, we will be the new owners and the shareholders of this new company, OilCo, which is a spin-off. And we can also see that in terms of the value, if this was completely independent from Meta, then it would have a greater value. So this is not good for investors in terms of it being a spin-off from a valuation point of view. And finally, we can also see here is when a corporation spins off a business unit that has its own management structure, it sets up as an independent company under a renamed business entity. So I think one thing I'm concerned about, and many investors will be concerned about, is division of interest. George is the president of OilCo. He's also the CEO and head of Metamaterials. If this is going to continue long term, this is a division of responsibilities. It doesn't give us great confidence going forward. I'm sure that's not going to be the case. However, it is a concern that needs to be addressed. And finally, let's have a look at how is a spin-off done and what are the disadvantages of a spin-off. So in terms of how is a spin-off done, a spin-off, a corporation creates a spin-off by distributing 100% of its ownership interest in a business unit as a stock dividend to existing shareholders. So that fits in exactly with what is looking like is going to be happening with us as MMTLP. We will be spun off as owners of this new company. It can also offer its existing shareholders a discount to exchange their shares in the parent company for shares of the spin-off. So I'd like to make a request on behalf of all investors, if George can arrange for a discount, bearing in mind what's happened and the extreme significant losses that all shareholders have had in holding Metamaterials, then a discount would be very much welcome. So we can also see here the spin-off is going to have separate management structure and a new name, but it will retain the same assets, intellectual property and human resources. So Metamaterials is going to be the parent company, and what's now going to happen is Metamaterials is going to be NASDAQ listed, OilCo is going to be OTC listed. I can guarantee you right now OilCo will not be trading on the NASDAQ. Now if we go back pre-merger, it was the opposite way around. Torch was NASDAQ listed, Metamaterials was not NASDAQ listed, and certainly we have the opposite situation here potentially. Let's now have a look at the disadvantages. So the disadvantages here is the spin-off, once it happens, it's going to create a volatile stock. This can tend to underperform in weak markets, so we know that this is going to be in the OTC market. So that is why I believe most shareholders would prefer a cash dividend. I certainly would prefer a cash dividend. I have heard talk of people, certainly in social media, saying, well, this is a good thing because it could force the shorts to cover. We could have a squeeze. We've been hearing a lot of squeeze talk for a while now, and I think investors would just like a $10, $15, $20 plus dividend, and let's have the matter ended. So spin-offs can also experience high selling activity, so that's also certainly a possibility. I think if and when this happens, I think many investors will be looking to sell, so that is a danger, that is a risk. If anybody holds, then potentially they could benefit, because there is also benefit in holding if the potential and long-term future of the company is good. In terms of investors, Final thing I'd like to say here is the share price may dip in the short term, as we've just seen, because of this selling activity, but in the long term, the perspectives and the potential for OilCo could still be good. The next question, again, a very difficult question, question 4. Again, this is a question that I would like George to respond to. As far as I'm aware, he's not yet responded to this officially. And this question is, what do you know about MMTLP being tradable? So this is something that was not expected. We have had John Berder tweet to say the company was not aware of this. You know, there were some brokers that went behind their back and managed to get these trading on the OTC. So what I would like to clarify from George is, did he know about this? Was he aware of this? If not, or if he was, or if he wasn't, what's his opinion of this? I think as investors are concerned, this is something that we were led to believe may not happen. Let's have a quick reaction and give a shout out to one of the comments on the channel with regard to this question. And a shout out here to Ida Gonzalez, and Ida has said here, ignorance is not an excuse for selling the preferred shares. Do your own due diligence. So again, I agree with this first part of the comment. If anybody did sell MMTLP shares in ignorance or in error, then obviously that is your own fault. You should not do that. You should obviously know what you hold, know what you're selling, and know why you're selling. So no excuses there, and I fully support that part of the comment. But let's move on. The business end and the handling of the Torch MMAT and its present status basically could lead to an unavoidable class action litigation. So that there has been significant talk of litigation, either in groups, either is a joint example of a litigation, and we could be seeing potential individual lawsuits as well. So it's hard to believe here that MMAT did not know that the BDs who handled the preferred share, because how is it they were able to convert these preferred shares to MMTLP without their permission, without their knowledge, without their insight? That's what they're saying. George needs to clarify this. It is an unresolved matter. Obviously, you know, it looks like access had to be granted. That's how it is appearing on the face of it. Who gave the okay and who gave the alleged BDs the access? We were told that if you hold on the qualifying dates in June, that was the first condition. Now people are buying MMTLP without holding in June, and potentially they will be getting the dividend. And the final question I'd like to address for George, again, this is a very difficult question. I think George should respond to investors. He should be aware of investor concerns. I think there is right now, a very significant loss in confidence from the investors. So it would be appreciated if George can give some reassurance. I'm aware that you can't basically come out and say that here we have contracts. That's not something that we can blame George for. But let's now proceed to have a look at some of the key questions and concerns that investors have. So I'm going to first of all start by giving a shout out here to Stockbrew. So Stockbrew here has replied to George, and he said, let's see so far what's happened. Burn the shorts. That never happened. Then he said, hold Torch to get the dividend. That never happened. We've seen the situation with MMTLP. Again, promise broken. Hold Torch to get the dividend. Not happened, as we've just seen. Reverse split before the merger. So again, this has not been addressed in a specific question now, but it is a concern. It is something, again, the company did cover in the small print, but it wasn't widely known by many of the investors that this is a potential thing that could happen. And it was a very sudden and strong announcement and caught many people by surprise, and generally not well received. MMAT stock plummets. I don't think we need to go through the charts to see what happened, but it is a very, very significant slide from the high to the low, and right now the stock is also tumbling, so not great news for investors. Dividend becomes tradable. This certainly is an unusual situation. It shouldn't have been happening. How the hell is it trading on the OTC? We need some answers. And dividend delayed and will likely be a spin-off. So I agree with that. I do believe there is potential for a spin-off. Although George has tweeted saying, well, there is still a potential of a cash dividend. If we get a cash dividend, I think the vast majority of investors would prefer that. He's finished off here by saying, but trust the new carrot he's dangling out there, question mark. And the next concern I'd like to share is a shout out to Richard, who's commented on the channel here. Richard is extremely concerned. So these are some of the concerns that Richard Field has shared. So let's have a look. He's saying here he's extremely upset with the news. I will short Meta until it's underwater from this point forward. I certainly hope he's speaking in anger here. He said they wait until the last month until drilling, which slows down. They had no intention on any payout. Any sale of my preferred shares will be used to short Meta to use to short Meta, and any further profits in Meta markets will be used to short Metamaterials. So he's looking to take revenge. He's not happy. I had an instinct that this crackpot George would pull shady shit. No wonder Torch and Meta have been shorted for so long. He has been under the scope from day one. The worst thing Meta did was put him on the board. So he's certainly not happy with the credentials and the track record of George. And Richard has still gone on to say, and guess what? This OilCo company will definitely be shorted, but people who bought on the OTC will dump it like hotcakes on the listing. So best options are getting the best deal when buy low and keep shorting. This is why everyone should attend investment meetings and vote. This should have never went down. So one thing I'd like to confirm that this decision was not George's decision. So I'm going to back him up on this. This is something that did go through a shareholder vote. So we can't. I'm not sure we can blame George for this. The decision was done through a shareholder vote, where there was a shareholder meeting. But I do understand your concerns, and it would be good to address them. The final set of concerns I'd like to share for George and for everybody else in there, in terms of giving the general consensus of concerns of many investors. So shout out here on Twitter to Ali, and he stated, replying to George, he said, MMAT used Torch to get listed on NASDAQ. Objective achieved. Get rid of the oil asset. Create OilCo. It was a bad move. Hedge funds have infinite money to delist MMAT by shorting. OilCo will have additional salary and benefits for the new OilCo management. So strong concerns raised there by Ali, and obviously it looks like these allegations, it would be good to have them addressed. Yodzo Pizza has also chipped in here, and he says, all I want for Christmas is an announcement of a major contract. So again, I don't think we can blame George for not having contracts. That's the company decision. That's something that is not his fault directly. It's something that the company are working on. He's trying his best. It will come. I do agree. It is something we are waiting for. We all want. And I think that will be the first major catalyst once that is announced. But we are still waiting for it. Lisa Girl has chipped in by saying, maybe you should have waited until your previous prediction of dividend payout date until dumping on retail investors today. No telling where the stock price will be at the end of the year, as well as Q1 2022. You are about as favorable as Ken Griffin and Jen Gensler. Unfortunately, I don't know who these two individuals are, so if anybody can enlighten me in the comments, that would be appreciated. And finally, to finish off with, Jason Larson has also tagged in George, and he said, when you realize his Harvard education was just an online course completion certificate. So again, as I stated earlier, many people are concerned is in terms of his tweet, it was very unprofessional, it was not well received, and it was not in the manner of a person Harvard educated and somebody who is the CEO. And if George is basically saying, oh, I underestimated the shorts, then I think George needs to improve his education. And finally, to finish off, just to summarize, I think this was one of the most difficult videos I've made. So I'm going to finish off by giving my personal take on the whole situation. So again, going back to the company, Metamaterials, I'm still bullish on it. I still think the potential is huge with regard to the stock. I don't agree that it doesn't have a future. I think the future is there. However, I think the vast majority of investors do have concerns. The vast majority of investors are not happy, and I think they should be represented, and I think the vast majority of investors should get an answer. It would be appreciated if we get positive news. Then I'm sure all of the investors will take back their anger, take back their words. Everybody will apologise to George. However, right now the situation is not good. We're coming into Christmas. People need money. They're not going to get any dividend. So the overall situation is not good. So let's cross our fingers and hope for some good news now in the first quarter of 2022, that has been promised. So thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.